It's amazing to me, and I say this all the time, it's amazing to me that whenever a judge walks in the door, we have to stand in reverence of his and or her office. And if we don't stand in reverence of their office, we can be found in contempt of court, fined, and or thrown in jail. And I just believe if I can stand for somebody who did not die so that I can live, I ought to be able to stand for the word of the Lord. Just for a few moments. Revelation chapter 2, verse 1. When you get there, just holler at me, say, I got it. If you're not there, say, wait up. Let them in, let them in, let them in, let them in. Ushers, tell the ushers to go ahead and let them in. Let them in, because I don't like people walking when come on, let them in, just let them in. Let them in, come on in, come on, let them in, let them in, let them in, amen. I'll wait for them, amen. You can let them in. Thank you so much. It's good to have you guys here today, amen, amen. I want everybody to bring somebody to church next week. You should always bring somebody to church anyway. I'm going to talk about that starting in December anyway. Excuse me. Revelation chapter number 2, looking verse number 1. And this is what it says. It says, this is what you must write to the angel of the church of Ephesus. It says, I am the one who holds the 7 stars in my right hand, and I walk among the 7 golden lampstands. He says, listen to what I say. I know everything you have done, including your hard work and how you have endured. He says, I know you won't put up with anyone who is evil. When some people pretended to be apostles, you tested them and found out that they were liars. So you have endured and gone through hard times because of me, yet you have not given up. But I do have something against you. And it is this, that you don't have as much love as you used to. Just think about where you have fallen from and then turn back and do as you did at first. If you don't turn back, I will come and take away your lampstand. But there is one thing that you are doing right. You hate the Nickelodeons, Enosians, whatever they are, and are doing, you hate what they are doing, and so do I. Says, if you have ear, listen to what the Spirit says to the church. I will let everyone who wins the victory eat from the life-giving tree in God's wonderful garden. Let's look at verse number 4. But I do have something against you, and it is this, that you do not have as much love as you used to. You may be seated. If I could for a few moments, and I need your help, I just need you to look at somebody and smile. Some of y'all ain't smiled in a month of Sundays. And while you're smiling at the person that you're sitting close to, some of y'all still looking at me. I said, look at your neighbor. And I need you to smile. I don't care if they're yours or if you bought them. Smile at somebody. I don't care if they're 22, 32, or 12. Smile anyway. And while you're smiling at them, just tell them, say, neighbor, the preacher is going to preach from this particular thought. I'm tired of this church. Just look at somebody quickly and just tell them, say, I'm tired of this church. I'm tired of this church. Earlier this year, my beloved brothers and sisters, earlier this year, there was a particular video that went viral. Earlier this year, there was a specific video that literally went viral. It went viral because this particular video was about a particular young boy who had a specific responsibility on this specific day to give a speech. Many of you all can remember growing up in the church when you were a young lady, a young could have been around Easter time or even during the Christmas season, where they gave you in Sunday school a speech that you were supposed to give. However, when this young man walked up, he said something that shocked the entire church that he was at. I don't know what his speech was supposed to have been, but I do know that he said something that literally shocked the entire ministry that he was in. They gave the young lad the microphone, and when he got to the mic, he said these words, "I'm tired of this church." I'm assuming, family, I'm assuming I'm not the only person who saw this viral video. Thanks be to God that his mother was not my mother. Because the next week they probably would have had a funeral. Many of us saw this young man, but as I begin to really examine it, as I begin to look at it even that much the deeper, I begin to see something that I believe that it is imperative and important that I deal with on today, because the reality is that we saw it and that it was humorous to many. However, the reality is, beloved brothers and sisters, is that this young man's statement was real and that it was authentic. I began to look at this particular video that went viral, and I noticed his posture. I began to look at how he walked. I began to look at his tone. And what I begin to see is that this young man begins to display his personal frustration with the church that he was in. He was frustrated, beloved brothers and sisters in the pews, even though he was a young man. He hasn't learned yet how it is to be fake and how it is to be phony. He was a young man. He was frustrated. He was frustrated with what was going on. He might have been frustrated with his Sunday school teacher because he didn't want to give that speech. He might have been frustrated with his mom because his mother was trying to make him do something that he was not ready or willing to do. Yet, even though he was frustrated in the pews, he was yet bold enough to say it publicly. And there are some people that are sitting in the pews today that the reality is they have similar feelings and they have similar emotions as it pertains to the church that they are in. However, the challenge is that they're expressing it among small groups of other individual bitter Christians. But yet and still, they're lacking the boldness of this particular young man. And if you are feeling this way, beloved brothers and sisters, because I believe very strongly that people are feeling frustration from the church. They're feeling frustration as they sit in the pews. And if you are feeling this way, that you're frustrated with some of the things that are happening, frustrated with some of the things that have transpired, you've left ministries because of those frustrations. The reality is can you imagine how God feels about that which he has died for being mismanaged and being used in a way that he never designed for it to be used? Can you imagine the frustration of God as he looks at that which he had bled and died for being managed poorly? The harsh reality, beloved brothers and sisters, is that if you are tired of the church, it is imperatively important that you begin to acknowledge that your frustration, watch this, that it has contributed to the church's illness and its dysfunction. I'm going to say that one more time. If you are tired of the church, you need to also acknowledge that your frustration has contributed to the church's illness and its dysfunction. Because you need to recognize that the church is not a building. Let me pause here for a minute. The church is not a building, even though we are assembling together in this edifice that we come into every Sunday and every Tuesday. The building is not the church. Because this building, if we take up all the pews and if we paint the walls black and we put some disco balls in the building and we throw some lights up in here and we turn and we put poles in the building, and after we put the poles on the floor in the building and we have some scantily clad women dressing a certain kind of way, taking their clothes off, and if we decide to make it rain, it goes from being a club to being a strip place. I can't get no help here. So the building is not the church. What makes the church is the people that assemble in the facility every week. So we need to understand then that if you're tired of the church, beloved brothers and sisters, that illness and or that dysfunction, all of us have contributed to be a part of it, because as believers, we must understand that we are on assignment. Touch somebody, say, I'm on assignment. Oh, y'all ain't talking like you really mean it. I said, touch your neighbor, say, I'm on assignment. God did not save you so that you would just come into this house and hear great music and hear all right preaching. But the reason why he saved you is because he recognizes that you are supposed to be empowered through the word of God to go out and impact the community around you. As a born-again believer, beloved brothers and sisters, our assignment, catch this, is to be fishers of mankind. Our assignment, beloved brothers and sisters, is to advance the kingdom of God by expanding it through our witness. We are responsible and we are supposed to be, watch this, salt and light, as it declares in Matthew chapter number 5, verses 13 through verse number 16. Let me just read it to you quickly from the English Standard Version. I love the way it reads because it comes directly from the Koine Greek. Now understand that English Standard Version says like this. It says, you are the salt of the earth. But if the salt has lost its taste, how shall its saltiness be restored? It says, it is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and to be trampled under people's feet. You are the light of the world, a city set on a hill that cannot be hidden. I can't get no help up in here. That cannot be hidden, nor do people light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a stand, and it gives light to all in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others so that they may see your good works, and watch this, and give glory to your Father who is in heaven. My responsibility as a believer is to live the kind of life publicly in the sight of people that when they see me, once they see my life, they ought to give God praise, not because of who I am, but because of who I allowed myself to be because of him. Y'all missed it. I saw it go past you. You are not that special that you are supposed to be getting accolades because of the blessing that God has made you. But you need to understand that your lifestyle is supposed to be of such that when people see you, that they give God glory. Why? Because they see the change that's on the inside of you. You are an ambassador. You are a representative. It ain't about you. Oh, that's a good place to touch your neighbor. Touch your neighbor, tell him, say, it ain't about you. That's why you can't live any old kind of life. That's why you can't walk around here talking about I'm saved, I love the Lord. But then you live in some kind of life. And that's why they label the whole church because of your actions. You need to understand that when your family members don't see you doing right, they ain't going to say, you know, brother so-and-so a trip. They're going to say all them folks over at Chosen Vessel ain't none of them right. Why? Because one bad representation will label all of us. And that's why it's so very important that you live the type of life that is holy and acceptable in the sight of God, not so that it gives the church, the chosen vessel, a good reputation, but so that it gives God a good reputation.